All right, everybody. Good evening. We are coming in just a little bit late, but that is quite all right with me. And one way or the other, it'll be quite all right with the viewers. You'll get a chance to watch this video either right after upload or in the days following the upload. So, like I said in the previous video, today was day 3 of the combine drills, and running back was the second position that I'm going to go ahead and cover here. There were 3 positions that went today. We're going to do running back, and I'll just cop to something. I'm not super engaged with this running back crop. Not because they're not great. This is a great running back crop. This is one of the better ones we've seen recently. I think that these running backs are going to make some teams very happy. There are several running backs that have a chance to go in the first round, and several running backs that have a chance to go in the second round. So it's nothing to do with the level of talent here. It's just the fact that I know that the Seahawks are pretty much spoken for at the running back position, and there's not really much they can do to change that, right? I know some people talk about maybe letting go of Ken Walker this offseason, but I really, really don't think that's on the table. He has very little trade value. He's not expensive, and he's proven to be good in certain capacities. I don't know why you would just throw that away. So I don't consider that to be a realistic possibility. And Charbonnet is entering the 3rd year of his career and has proven to be a capable player. McIntosh, we saw some decent things from him. And like, even if you let McIntosh go, are you really going to overextend yourself to get a third running back? I don't think so. So what are you going to do at the position, really? There's not a lot you can do. So it's hard for me to get locked in on these running backs, knowing that the Seahawks have about a, I don't know, 5% chance to actually be involved in any of this. Maybe you could get down to like the 6th or 7th round and you could at least make an argument for it, but it's hard for me to engage with this position when, quite frankly, it's behind a bulletproof glass protector. We're just not going to be able to get to it. But that being said, what we saw out there today was a pretty good class of running backs. There are some good pass catchers in the group. There's some good power backs in the group. And I think that if you need a running back, you can definitely find one in this class. Some of the things that stood out positively to me, some things that I think should be shouted out specifically. You've got Bhayshul Tuten, who I didn't really know anything about before the combine. I don't I'm not familiar with his work. He is a little bit of a smaller guy, but he has a decent amount of weight to him. He set the standard for the 40-yard dash by a wide margin and also had the top 10-yard split score. So he is the speediest running back at the combine. 4.32, I mean, that is close to as good as it gets for a running back. 1.49 10-yard split, demon speed. And he jumped over 40 inches on the vert, 10 feet 10 inches on the broad. So very explosive as well. So if you want a freak athlete, somebody who should be a good third down back, good pass catcher out of the backfield, Tuten is probably going to have to at least be on the list now. And again, I don't know exactly where the hype is for Tuten right now. I think he's considered to be like a 4th round pick. Maybe this will vault him up a little bit, but he had a good day. And I do like what I see here. It's just I understand that it can't really be a priority right now for this team. Jaden Blue, similarly, had a nice little day of testing. He only did his 40 time, but I thought he did it quite well. And this is a guy who's also a superlative pass catcher. So, granted, his hands being so tiny is a little bit, you wonder about that a little bit, I guess. But, 196 pounds, so not critically undersized there. And a decent amount of speed on top of his really good pass catching abilities. I think Jaden Blue made himself known as a strong presence in this draft. Donovan Edwards, I'd say he did quite well today as well. He actually had the second athleticism score from NGS. Ran a good 40, ran a really good 10-yard split, and he jumped 38 and a half inches. So he's also got to be up there as well. He's a guy who I feel like people kind of forgot about because Michigan was not very good last year. But Donovan Edwards can still play, and I think he's going to carve out a nice little role for himself in the NFL. So I'd be high on him a little bit right now. I always mispronounce this guy, Scatabo, the Arizona State guy. He is as build. He's very stout, 219 pounds, on a 5'9" 9.5" frame. So got legitimate NFL size as a running back, what with a low center of gravity that's going to be really hard to deal with. And he only did his jumps, but for a guy who weighs almost 220 pounds, 39.5" vert is the real deal. That's pretty special right there. 39.5" vert on a guy this size, that gets your attention. That tells you he's explosive. His broad was just okay, but that vert, that definitely got me out of my running back related malaise, right? So I know some Seahawks fans like Scatabo, and it's not completely ridiculous to suggest the Seahawks could use another reserve running back. And Scatabo's probably going to be a day 3 pick, so I guess there is some degree of intrigue here if you want a legitimate power back, I guess. So we can at least acknowledge the fact that he had a nice little day. Quinshon Judkins, another bigger guy, although this guy's bigger in general. He's also 6 feet tall, but the Ohio State running back, one of them, he looks really good too to me. He had a really good set of test scores. 4.48's just okay, but the 1.51 is really good on the 10-yard split. Vert was good. Broad jump was massive. 11 feet flat on his broad jump. So very explosive. Again, this is a bigger guy. This guy's over 220. This guy's a bigger running back, and he's jumping 11 feet at the broad with a 1.51 10-yard split. So that's legit. That's definitely going to get you drafted higher than maybe people were expecting. And I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to Tahj Brooks of Texas Tech. Most of the stuff he did was routine, right? 4.52 40 is okay. 1.56 10-yard split, pretty forgettable. But he was one of the few running backs to do the 3-cone and the 20-yard shuttle, and I don't know how he did this. 6.9 3-cone, that's really good. But a 4.06 20-yard shuttle, I'm going to have to look this up later. I feel like this is one of the best times ever for any running back. So, look, 40-yard dash is important. 10-yard split's important. These are running backs we're talking about here. Jumps are important, but 20-yard shuttle, 4.06, that got my attention. That makes me wonder if this guy might have some unique change of direction skills that do not translate well to straight line speed or explosiveness. So I don't know if this is a glitch or something, but I feel like this is one of the better times I've ever seen. I'm going to have to do some digging into the historic data on 20-yard shuttles for running backs, but this was much better than I'm used to seeing. Okay, the one guy in the running back group that I felt like probably let people down today, Ollie Gordon of Oklahoma State. He's another guy that is expected to be one of the top running backs to go. And in his defense, he is heavier than everybody else. He's 226 pounds, so he's got size. I think he might be the biggest running back in this class, or very close. Anybody bigger than this is probably a fullback. And he's also got very long arms, so that's cool, right? But 4.6 140, 1.6 10-yard split, so he's very slow. And maybe that's not surprising, and maybe that's not the end of the world, but man, that's rough. That's hard to get around. And the vert and broad were both very low, so he's not much of an athlete. Now, again, that can be forgiven, and I'm not saying he's a bad player, but it really highlights the shortcomings of him as a football player. All right, that's really all I got for the running backs. Again, just not my primary focus. We're going to do one more video later tonight, and then we got one more day. See you guys tomorrow, or later tonight. Go Hawks.